In a world obsessed with kindness, fairness, and the illusion of shared morality, there is little room for the wolf. Society trains you to bleat like the rest, to follow, to trust, to expose your throat and hope for safety. But Niccolò Machiavelli knew better. He understood that power does not belong to the well-meaning or the loud. It belongs to the sharp observer, the one who does not cry when wounded, but watches in silence, waiting for the right moment to strike. To survive among sheep, you must learn to stop thinking like prey. The world is not how it should be. It is how it is. And in how it is, only the predator prevails. The wolf may not be welcome in the pasture, but he decides when it burns. Machiavelli did not write for the comfortable. He wrote for the man who wants to win. He looked at the world not through the lens of how people wished it worked, but how it actually does. Behind every smiling face, he saw ambition. Behind every alliance, a calculation. To navigate this reality, he offered no prayers and no illusions, only tools, cunning, control, adaptability. If the sheep mistake this for cruelty, let them. Their opinion holds no weight in the final outcome. Machiavelli's truth is brutal but clean. Either you use power or you are used by it. The sheep fear the wolf, but they forget one thing. The wolf doesn't care. To be the wolf is not to howl and announce your power. It is to remain silent until movement is required. It is to observe others exposing themselves with careless words while you remain unreadable. Machiavelli understood the power of restraint. The vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances, he wrote, because he knew most people are blind to substance. Sheep respond to the surface, the smile, the speech, the illusion of virtue. But power is not earned through applause. It is taken through understanding what others want, what they fear, and what they will never admit. The wolf sees this and acts accordingly. Love, Machiavelli taught, is a fragile currency. It depends on the mood of the people, on their perception, on their shifting affections. But fear is stable. It is less noble perhaps, but far more reliable. A leader who leans on love alone will find himself abandoned when times grow hard. But one who commands fear while avoiding hatred creates a fortress around his authority. The wolf does not need the herd to like him. He needs them to hesitate, to question whether confrontation is worth the cost. That hesitation is power. That is the edge that separates leader from follower, wolf from sheep. You must not confuse morality with strategy. Machiavelli rejected the idea that ethics could guide politics. He saw that power often requires decisions others would label immoral, not because they are unjust, but because they are effective. The wolf doesn't ask if it's fair to outmaneuver the herd. He asks only if it works. And if it does, he repeats it. Appearances, he said, must be maintained. The prince should seem virtuous, generous, loyal, fair, but he must be ready to act otherwise when needed. Image is for the people. Action is for the outcome. One protects your throne, the other keeps it. Consider Caesar Borgia, Machiavelli's ideal ruler. Ruthless, yes, but never reckless. He understood timing, when to punish, when to reward, when to feign mercy. He used fear as a sculptor uses a chisel, with control. He eliminated threats, but did so with distance. When blood was necessary, he let others do the cutting, and when praise was due, he stood beneath the falling light. This is the essence of the wolf: to be cruel only when required, to be feared without being hated, to know that the herd watches every movement and judges what it cannot understand. Borgia did not beg for acceptance. He ruled. Modern culture ridicules Machiavelli. They call him cynical, ruthless, manipulative. But what is more cruel, to tell people the truth about power or to let them walk blind into its machinery? Machiavelli did not create the rules. He exposed them. And if his words feel cold, It is only because truth, when stripped of delusion, often is to survive in a world of sheep. You must accept that people are not who they pretend to be. They are driven by fear, by desire, by instincts they barely understand. And if you want to lead them, or even protect yourself from them, you must know what moves them better than they do. The wolf does not announce his presence. He studies, he listens, he waits, then, with speed and precision, he acts. This is not cruelty, it is efficiency. It is the refusal to waste time playing a game he didn't write the rules for. Machiavelli's concept of virtù was never about virtue in the moral sense. It was about power, precision, and adaptability. It was about being bold when the moment required it and restrained when it did not. The sheep may call this manipulation. The wolf calls it survival. And in a world that punishes naivety, only one of them lasts. Fortune, chance, the unpredictable chaos of life. Machiavelli believed it governs half of what happens to us, but the other half, that belongs to you, to your ability to adapt, to shape the moment, to strike when others freeze. The wolf respects fortune, but does not surrender to it. He moves with the storm, not against it. He understands that power is not inherited. It is seized through boldness, calculation, and the refusal to be passive. The sheep look to the sky and pray for calm. The wolf sharpens his teeth and prepares to move regardless of the weather. To operate like a wolf, you must reject the comforts of certainty. The herd thrives on routine, on familiar paths, on approval, but the wolf walks alone when needed. He knows that clarity only comes through confrontation with risk. Machiavelli did not write for those who wanted safety. He wrote for those willing to trade comfort for control, for those who do not ask, "Is this right?" but instead ask, "Will this work?" And when the answer is yes, even if the means are unorthodox, they proceed. That is the essence of virtù, not goodness, not luck, power in motion. The modern man has been taught to fear judgment more than failure. He censors his own ambition, his own cunning, for fear of being seen as too much. But Machiavelli would ask, too much for whom? The sheep? The crowd that cheers your downfall louder than your rise. To be effective, you must become immune to their noise. You must play the long game while they argue over illusions. The wolf hears everything, but speaks only when the outcome requires it. And when he does, it is not to ask permission, it is to declare direction. Appearances remain crucial, not for honesty, but for control. Machiavelli emphasized that it is not necessary to be good, only to appear so. The sheep are comforted by the image of virtue, by the mask. Give them what they need to see. Smile when needed, offer calm words when it suits your aims. But behind the smile, the wolf must remain watchful. Appear virtuous to preserve your influence. Act strategically to preserve your power. The contradiction is not weakness, it is mastery. Sheep believe power must be pure. The wolf knows purity is a liability in the world of consequences. You are not obligated to tell the truth when the truth will be used against you. You are not weak for withholding your plans. The sheep have confused openness with strength, but in Machiavellian terms, silence is armor. The more you reveal, the easier it is to trap you. The wolf protects his intentions. He lets others guess, argue, waste energy interpreting shadows while he prepares for movement. He never declares what could instead be shown through outcome. Do not tell them what you're building. Let them realize it when it's already too large to stop. That is how the wolf wins. Consider how this applies in leadership. A weak leader explains too much, justifies endlessly, apologizes for authority. A strong leader, Machiavelli wrote, knows that explanations dilute power. Decisions must be made and delivered, not begged through approval. The wolf does not ask for consent from the flock. He makes the path and walks it. When questioned, he does not defend. He lets results speak. When challenged, he does not panic. He watches, and if retaliation is necessary, It is swift, clean, and without warning. The sheep may whisper, but the wolf does not answer noise. Even in relationships, this principle holds. The wolf does not overshare. He listens, he watches, he waits. When you speak too freely, you give others ammunition they did not earn. When you overshare your pain, your fear, your plans, you offer power to those who might not return it. Strategic silence does not mean isolation. It means discipline. Speak when speech strengthens your position. Remain quiet when silence sharpens it further. Machiavelli believed, people are not driven by noble ideals. They are driven by interest, appetite, fear. Knowing this, the wolf never plays his full hand, especially not at the table of sentiment. To lead others, you must understand them better than they understand themselves. Sheep follow routine. They react. They seek comfort. The wolf studies those reactions, the way they flinch at silence, the way they reveal everything when they feel heard. It is not cruelty to use this understanding. It is reality. Machiavelli's brilliance lies not in teaching manipulation for its own sake, but in revealing that people are already playing the game, even if unconsciously. The wolf simply plays better. He does not blame the world for its design. He learns its mechanisms, and then he bends them. There will be moments when you are tempted to explain yourself, to soften your tone, to show your inner workings. Resist. If power is what you seek, in business, in leadership, in life, remember this. Respect is rarely born from exposure. It is born from control. Control over your words, over your presence, over your reactions. Machiavelli warned against those who speak too freely, too soon. The wolf knows his silence holds more weight than 10 declarations, and when he finally speaks, the room stops, not because he is louder, but because he speaks less. The wolf moves in silence, but his presence is unmistakable. There is a weight to restraint, a gravity that draws others in, not through noise, but through discipline. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He saw that those who speak less are often mistaken for weak by the foolish, until the results say otherwise. Speech can betray, it can promise too much, commit too early, reveal too deeply. Silence, however, promises nothing. It waits, it learns, it protects. And when it breaks, when it becomes action, it is already too late for those who underestimated it. This is not passive behavior, it is tactical. In every room, there is a person who says little but notices everything. That is the wolf. The one who studies patterns while others perform, who watches power shift between hands, and waits for the right moment to intervene. Sheep chase moments. Wolves engineer them. Machiavelli taught that leadership is not granted. It is imposed by those who understand timing, when to speak, when to disappear, when to strike. In a culture addicted to speed and volume, patience becomes a secret weapon. The wolf has no need to be first, only to be final. The greatest advantage of being underestimated is the freedom it gives you. While others relax in your silence, thinking it means surrender, you gather leverage. Machiavelli would advise, let them think they've won, let them show their hand, reveal their flaws, exhaust their momentum. Then, when their guard is lowest, speak, not to argue, not to explain, to end it. The wolf does not announce his plans. He allows his enemies to create the illusion of safety, and then, with one precise move, he shifts the balance of power entirely. This is not cruelty, this is clarity. Modern leadership fails when it tries to be liked. Machiavelli made it plain. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Love is conditional. Fear, when managed well, is dependable. You must avoid hatred, yes, but aiming to be adored will weaken your posture. The wolf does not need applause. He needs obedience, respect, calculated distance, and this does not come from oversharing, over-explaining, or overcompensating. It comes from boundaries, from poise, from speaking, only when speech has weight. The sheep gossip, the wolf commands. In the workplace you see it clearly. The over-eager colleague who dominates every meeting, speaks on every issue, and yet influences no one. The one who thinks visibility equals value, but the true power rests with the one who speaks last, or not at all, and yet whose opinion quietly shapes direction. Because the wolf understands the loudest voice often masks insecurity. Real power doesn't ask to be seen. It chooses when and how to be revealed. And when it does, it feels inevitable. Even in negotiations, silence can be more persuasive than any argument. Machiavelli would advise, let others fill the space with their anxieties. Let them talk themselves into concessions. The wolf listens, and by listening, he controls the tempo. He forces others to act first, to expose their needs, their limits, their weakness. And once revealed, those weaknesses can be used, not vindictively, but effectively. Because winning is not about theatrics, it's about information, and the wolf always gathers before he gives. There's a myth that transparency always equals strength, but Machiavelli shattered that illusion centuries ago. He warned that those who reveal too much are easily manipulated, cornered, and undone. The wolf shares only what is necessary. He does not open the door to every guest. He builds mystique, not as a performance, but as protection. And in doing so, he forces others to imagine what they cannot see. That imagination, that uncertainty, becomes its own kind of pressure. It is not deception. It is discretion. And it wins. The sheep fear being misunderstood. The wolf does not. He understands that clarity is a tool, not a duty. You do not owe everyone your truth, your plan, or your thoughts. You owe yourself the right to act without being bound by premature expectation. Machiavelli advised leaders to remain unpredictable, not out of whimsy, but out of necessity. Predictability breeds vulnerability. The wolf stays fluid, he adapts, he surprises, and because of that, he survives longer than those who insisted on being fully seen. To lead in this world, you must stop trying to be chosen. Choose yourself. Claim ground. Set tone, not through aggression, but through presence. When you walk into a room, you don't need to dominate it with noise. Let your silence speak first. Let your decisions speak louder. Let your outcomes be your defense. Machiavelli would tell you, influence is not spoken into existence. It is engineered through control, silence, and precise movement. Be seen when it's useful. Be invisible when it's powerful. Either way, never be careless. And when others say you are cold, distant, hard to read, let them. The wolf is not here to be understood by sheep. He is here to endure, to outlast, to outmaneuver. Not because he's ruthless, but because he understands the stakes. Machiavelli's truth is not romantic, but it is real. And in a world full of performance, it is the quiet strategist who prevails. The wolf does not waste motion. Every gesture, every glance, every silence is intentional. This is where his power lies, not in constant action, but in strategic restraint. Machiavelli taught that in matters of power, doing less often achieves more. The sheep scramble, chasing validation, mistaking movement for progress. But the wolf knows timing is the most lethal skill. The one who waits until the exact moment to act, and acts without hesitation, wields more power than 1,000 men running in the wrong direction. Silence is not inactivity. It is preparation. It is the sharpening of the blade before the blow. In politics, business, and war, those who dominate are not always the loudest. They are the most aware. Machiavelli's prince is not impulsive. He studies the terrain. He examines the nature of men. He does not assume loyalty. He tests it. He does not declare victory. He engineers it, piece by piece, quietly, until resistance becomes impossible. This is how the wolf operates. He tests the herd, learns its rhythm, its weak points, its blind spots, and when the moment comes, he does not hesitate. He does not ask. He takes. Not from greed, but from understanding that hesitation is a luxury only the weak can afford. There is a false belief that success requires constant visibility, that if you're not always seen, you will be forgotten. Machiavelli would scoff at this. He knew that mystique is more powerful than visibility. The unknown always carries more weight than the known. The wolf's power does not come from being seen every moment. It comes from the moment he chooses to be seen. And when he appears, it is deliberate, forceful, unmistakable. You do not need to remind the world of your presence daily. You only need to act decisively when it matters. That is how you are remembered. The disciplined man, the silent man, the calculating man, he is underestimated by design. This is your greatest advantage. Let them assume you are disinterested. Let them imagine you are behind. Then when they've dismissed you, forgotten you, you appear, not to explain, but to dominate. Machiavelli would call this controlled unpredictability. And in a world where most people advertise their every move, your silence will terrify them. Not because they know what you're doing, but because they don't. The unknown carries fear, and fear, when harnessed wisely, creates distance, respect, obedience. You must master both the lion and the fox, strength and cunning. The lion strikes, the fox survives. Machiavelli insisted both were essential. The sheep are only the prey of the lion, but the traps, those are set for the careless lion by clever men. The fox avoids them. To be the wolf is to be both. To understand that brute force without subtlety leads to downfall, and that cleverness without the ability to act decisively is wasted potential. The wolf blends both. He moves through shadows but bites with force. He deceives when needed, dominates when required. He adapts constantly, not to please, but to survive. Never underestimate the advantage of being hard to read. In a world that begs you to explain yourself, to show your heart, to share your plans, don't be vague when needed. Be clear when it serves you, but never be transparent to those who haven't earned your clarity. Machiavelli understood that what is seen too easily is controlled too easily. The wolf may show his face, but never his full mind. In strategy, clarity is not a gift, it is a risk. Give only what cannot be used against you. Keep the rest locked away, not from fear but from wisdom. In conversations, silence positions you as the judge, not the supplicant. The one who speaks less automatically commands more attention. Why? Because people instinctively sense that silence signals value, that someone who doesn't need to speak must be secure in their place. And when that person finally does speak, the room listens. This is how power flows, not from constant assertion, but from precise disruption. The wolf does not interrupt noise, he breaks it. One sentence, one decision, one calculated move. That's all it takes when timing is correct, and the room is hungry for certainty. Even when attacked, do not rush to respond. Machiavelli would say, silence confuses your enemy more than rage ever could. It forces them to wonder what you are planning. It makes them question their own position, and more often than not, they will overplay their hand trying to provoke a reaction. Let their noise reveal their flaws. Let their desperation expose their weakness. Then, respond once, with force, clarity, and finality. This is not passivity. This is strategy. The wolf does not respond to every bark. He waits. Then he strikes. Once. The more you explain yourself, the smaller you become. Each explanation is a surrender, a signal that your position depends on the approval of others. But true power is self-contained. The wolf is not powerful because others say so. He is powerful because he acts as if he is, and enforces it through results. This is not arrogance. It is clarity of mission. Machiavelli knew that a prince who rules by consent alone is always at the mercy of the crowd. but one who is respected or feared has control even in silence. Say less, move more. Let the outcome justify your silence. Most people will never understand this way of thinking. They want noise, comfort, exposure. They want the illusion of connection. But influence is not about being liked. It is about being obeyed. It is about being remembered for what you did, not what you said. In the end, the wolf will outlast the sheep, not because he is louder, but because he is prepared. He did not waste his strength proving himself. He did not give away his thinking. He observed, he adapted, and when the time came, he acted, not with noise, not with doubt, but with certainty. The wolf's legacy is not written in words. It is etched in outcomes. While others broadcast their intentions, seek applause, and chase validation, the wolf builds quietly. He constructs power in silence, not for the world to see in its infancy, but to witness only when it is undeniable. Machiavelli understood this deeply. The idea that influence is most potent when it is least explained. The prince who governs through quiet strength and decisive action will always outlast the ruler who governs by opinion. Applause fades, fear endures, and those who understand this, they rule, while the others fall. To live as the wolf is to accept that you will often walk alone, not because you lack connection, but because true power isolates. The sheep move in flocks for comfort. The wolf moves with purpose. This path requires sacrifice, the comfort of being understood, the ease of blending in, the praise of the crowd. But what you gain is infinitely more valuable. Freedom, the freedom to think, to act, to decide without interference. Machiavelli would not pity your solitude. He would call it necessary. For those who wish to command, not follow, must separate themselves from the noise of the herd. Understand this. You are either shaping the game or being shaped by it. There is no neutral position. The man who avoids strategy is simply playing someone else's without knowing it. The wolf does not avoid conflict. He chooses when to enter it. He does not wait for justice. He creates leverage. He does not ask to be chosen. He positions himself to be inevitable. This is the Machiavellian ideal, to be bold, strategic, and above all, aware. Awareness is your greatest weapon. Most people do not think, they react. Most do not lead, they comply. You must be different. There is a reason Machiavelli's teachings have lasted for centuries. It is not because they are easy, but because they are true. Power is not earned by those who want it most. It is earned by those who understand it best. The wolf does not chase every opportunity. He selects, he filters, he allows others to burn themselves out chasing crumbs, while he studies where the entire table will be set. Patience is not delay, it is calculation. And when the right moment comes, the wolf moves, not just to eat, but to control the entire terrain, not by chance, by design. You must train yourself to resist the seduction of reaction. When you are provoked, remain still. When you are challenged, observe. Your power is not in your response. It is in your control over the moment. Most men give it away. They rush to defend, to explain, to prove. But Machiavelli warned, the moment you try to justify yourself to the crowd, you become theirs. The wolf justifies nothing. He lets results explain what his words do not, and those results carry more authority than any argument ever could. Be ruthless with your focus. Let others chase popularity. Let them drown in distractions, in conflict, in emotion. You stay fixed on outcomes. Machiavelli's philosophy is not emotional. It is functional. He did not tell the prince to feel. He told him to win. And that victory for you begins in the silence, where others panic, in the pause where others reveal themselves, in the space where you prepare. This silence is not absence, it is presence, concentrated, potent, and invisible, until it erupts into dominance. That is the power of the wolf. He's not just unseen, he is felt. When others ask what drives you, Offer only what benefits you. Do not reveal your deepest motives. Keep them guarded. Machiavelli believed men were not moved by truth, but by their own needs. Let them see in you what is useful to them. No more. You are not obligated to be transparent. You are obligated to be effective. And often, the less you reveal, the more powerful you appear. People respect what they don't fully understand. Mystery is leverage. The wolf never tells you where he's going. He just arrives, exactly where he needs to be, exactly when it matters. And if they call you manipulative, cold, or calculated, understand that these are the words of those who have already lost the game you're playing. You do not need to defend your tactics to those unwilling to evolve. Machiavelli wrote for the few who could bear to see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. You are one of those few. You have chosen not the easy path, but the one that leads somewhere real, toward control, toward legacy, toward the kind of power that outlives applause. So speak less, move strategically, choose your timing like a blade, protect your plans, let your presence demand attention, and when the time comes, do not hesitate. Strike with certainty, lead with silence, dominate with clarity. This is how the wolf survives. This is how the wolf rules, and in a world of sheep, it is the only way to win. They will not remember how loud you were. They will remember what changed when you entered the room. That is the wolf's legacy, not noise, but consequence. In the end, all that matters is what was built, what was seized, what was made inevitable through quiet force. Machiavelli understood that those who rely on volume fade, but those who move with discipline, who observe, who wait, who strike with intention, they shape history. Their names last not because they were loved, but because they were effective. Power, after all, is not earned through sentiment. It is earned through strategy. To be the wolf is to build influence without spectacle. You do not need the spotlight to command a room. You need results. The sheep will gather in herds for attention, but the wolf gathers leverage. When you walk through life with control over your time, your speech, and your reactions, you radiate a force that no applause can match. Machiavelli's prince does not ask to be accepted. He ensures he cannot be ignored. He is not frantic. He is focused. Every move is measured, and every silence is full of intent. This way of life is not for everyone. Most will never have the stomach for it. It requires you to say no, not just to distractions, but to validation. To choose the respect of the few over the approval of the many. To be feared without being hated. To be admired without being fully known. To appear open while remaining sealed. The wolf is not cold, he is selective. And that selectivity is his armor. Machiavelli did not advise cruelty. He advised control. Control over perception. Control over impulse. Control over narrative. And above all, control over the self. The final illusion you must break is the lie that morality alone leads to greatness. Machiavelli shattered this myth with precision. He taught that those who survive and those who rule are not always good, but they are always smart. If you are to thrive in the real world, you must learn this distinction. You must not sacrifice effectiveness on the altar of virtue. You must appear virtuous. Yes, for image is power, but you must act strategically. Always. The sheep demand purity, but the world is not pure. It is brutal, and only those who see it clearly can rise above it. Look to the leaders you've admired. Strip away the branding, the charm, the rehearsed speeches. What you'll find beneath it is calculation, control, decisiveness. They did not rise by being open books. They rose by understanding human nature better than those around them, by staying silent when others spoke, by waiting when others rushed, by striking when others hesitated. That is the Machiavellian path, not evil, just effective, not heartless, just disciplined. It is a different kind of strength, one not taught in schools but learned through watching, failing, adjusting, and watching again. You are not here to impress. You are here to influence. You are not here to express yourself to the world. You are here to shape the world through precision. Speak when needed, act when it counts, win when it matters. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them guess what you're thinking. Let them whisper your name with uncertainty. That uncertainty is your power. The wolf does not run through the forest shouting. He moves unseen. But when he wants something, he takes it. No warning, no explanation, just results. What you do from here is up to you. You can return to the herd, speak endlessly, post constantly, reveal everything, and remain forgettable. Or you can begin to shape yourself, in silence, in control, in power. Cut what weakens you, keep what strengthens you. Choose your words with care, study more than you speak, and when you act, let it be decisive, unstoppable, final. This is how wolves operate. This is how power works. This is how men like Machiavelli predicted the moves of kings, while others read fairy tales. You do not need to be cruel to be powerful, but you do need to be willing to wait, willing to outlast, willing to say nothing when others demand your voice, willing to walk away when others beg you to stay. This is not coldness, it is strength. It is the rare self-possession that turns men into rulers. The sheep believe they are good because they are loud, but the wolf knows goodness without power is decoration, and power without discipline is destruction. What wins is the fusion of silence and strength, masked in calm, driven by purpose. If you understand this, if this message has moved something within you, then it's time. Time to begin building yourself, not in public, but in private, not through noise, but through results. You will not be celebrated for this. Not yet, but one day, when the others are still talking, still trying, still waiting for permission, you will already be there, silent, watching, unstoppable. That is how to be the wolf in a world of sheep. If you've made it this far, it means something in you has already awakened. A part of you sees it clearly now, that to be loved by everyone, you must first betray yourself, and that the only love worth keeping is the one that begins with choosing you. Even if it means being alone, even if it means being misunderstood, that is the price of inner freedom. So tell me, are you ready to be feared instead of accepted? Are you ready to be questioned, doubted, even hated in exchange for power, clarity, and control? If this message struck something deep in you, if it stirred something quiet but undeniable, then write in the comments, I choose silence over approval. Let's see how many are truly ready to become wolves, and don't stop here. The next video is not just content, it's part of the shift, part of the weapon you're building in silence. Watch it now. It's more important than you know. I'll see you there.